We're recording in progress, and welcome to the Holistic Equine Academy of Lymphedema. I'm Teresa Mueller, and today is a very exciting piece here today because we have horse owners here who have walked through the fire, literally, and had some of them had some really good results. Others had didn't have the optimal results, but it was always what we learned and what we could pass on to somebody else and in the industry and make everyone's life a little bit better. So I'm going to introduce each one here, and then we have a series of questions. And what we're going to do is I'm going to ask each one of the horse owners a question. We've got four questions. They're going to answer question number one. We're going to pause, and then anybody from the audience wants to ask a question or comment, please do so. All right. So this way we keep everything in order. So what we have here is Vicky Bird. Vicky, say hello.
Hi, everyone.
And Vicky and I put the first webinar together. You want to tell what it is, what we did?
Yes, we did a webinar called Beat Cellulitis Before It Beats You. And that's what I feel my journey has been all about. But it's been almost 2 years since our last. So we're
Mhm.
doing well.
Oh, good. All right. And that's how I met Vicky. She contacted me. So then we have Jeannie here. Jeannie, you want to tell us a little bit about Skibo? And I'm going to take this call because let me see what it is. It's Kerry. Let me for where she is.
Okay, Skibo is a gelding Welsh cob, 23 years old. And uh, I wasn't riding him that day, but he's in pretty good health. And the woman riding him noticed that his throat latch was swollen,
Okay, I'll
and
send you the link right now.
we were just wondering what that was. It wasn't hot, and it was a little bit hard. So I took his temperature. His temperature is fine. And then, but she was like, I wasn't that concerned, but my friend Pam was concerned because she thought he was choking because it was getting so large. And then, I guess she's a vet tech, so she was saying that's where the parotid glands are, the salivary glands, and there's a lot of lymph nodes. And that was pretty much it. And then Skibo, we kept checking it. My trainer wanted to give him uh, Zyrtec because she thought it was some kind of allergic response. And I said, I don't want to just give him Zyrtec, just randomly. Um, and then, he had an appointment with the vet, not for his swollen glands. So we mentioned to the vet about it, and she thought it was an infection. Um, and just to watch it, she didn't think he needed antibiotics or anything. So we were watching it, and it really didn't change. And so I don't know at that point, because I've had breast cancer and I've had a lot of lymphatic drainage. So, at that point, I was just thinking maybe there's something I can do so it doesn't have this long swelling on the side of on his jaw. So then, I Googled and found Teresa. And he was fine. I mean, nothing, it didn't get any worse. It did get better and then it came back. But it wasn't, I didn't feel like it was in a life-threatening stage then, but I just still wanted to control it. I didn't want it to, start other areas, other lymph node areas to get swollen. So that's when I
That's
finally met her.
okay. And Tracy, tell us about your adventure with Mayu.
Okay. I'm sorry, I had to unmute. Hi, everybody. I'm glad to be here. Thanks, Teresa, for organizing this. And I had never really dealt with chronic progressive lymphedema until Mayu came into my life, and she was abandoned at a kill pen after a rescue paid for her because they saw the leg, I think, and thought they couldn't manage it, which I can understand because it was quite large. So I agreed to take her, but I didn't realize what I was getting myself into as far as helping her feel better. But I was teaching at Northwest School of Animal Massage, and Lola Michelin mentioned Teresa, and maybe getting trained in MLD would help her. And so I was willing to do whatever it took. And so she was instrumental in helping me. We really did make a huge difference in the leg over time. It would go up and down with the barometric pressure. But I think like we can talk more about that if anybody wants to know more about it. But we did a combination of different things, herbs and MLD. So for me, I think having this tool in my toolbox as a professional practitioner, as well as having a horse at my place, it was huge. Mayu did not live more than a few years with me before her heart gave out, we think from a massive infection, probably stemming from the leg itself. Her lymph was always a problem. And so I think if you dive into this work, you'll realize how deep it is of a topic. And I see a lot of it in my practice. But Mayu brought me to this work, and I'm really grateful to her. I miss her. So hopefully we can help other horse owners maybe extend their horses' lives a little bit with what we've all experienced.
Okay, Carrie, are you on here?
Oh, finally. We're having a storm and I had to chase 16 baby chickens back in. I'm telling you.
So I met Carrie contacted me, and she had a horse named Grace. And you want to tell a little brief how you acquired Grace?
I got Grace through a kill pen. I got a picture of her that my friend said, do you want this horse? And she sent me a video of her. This guy was riding her down the hallway. And Friday, if I didn't buy her, I mean, all I could see was in her eyes. And that's all I focused on. I didn't see her leg. I didn't see anything but her eyes. Just to help me in her face. And Friday she was to be shipped out to Mexico. And I said, yeah, I'll take her. And got her up here. And when she got off the truck and I was leading her out, oh my God, I just started crying. Her nose was running green out of it, and she was coughing. And when we finally got her home, he gave her a couple antibiotic shots. He goes, well, do you want me to? And I said, yeah. And we called out the vet, and the vet goes, quarantine her, and I don't think she's going to make it. Because when he was backing her off the trailer, I've never seen a horse poop just pure mucus. I mean, there was nothing but mucus. And, and when the vet came out, she had double pneumonia, trachea. He had no idea about her leg. She had brain rot. She had a guttural pouch infection that she stayed on antibiotics, I know, for 3 or 4 months. She wouldn't eat. She was so emaciated that, I mean, and then come to find out, she was pregnant. She was 6 months pregnant. Yeah. That was my grace. And I said, Lord, if you save her, she will be saved by your grace. And he did. And in April, that was in November, in April, the end of April, we had a baby. Didn't even know she was pregnant. I looked up under there because, I mean, I always had geldings, and her teats were swollen. So I thought, oh, like us women, that's where we put on our weight. And I said, oh, good, she's gaining weight. So my friend looked under there and she goes, no, she's not. She's pregnant. I said, oh my God, are you kidding me? And yeah. She gave birth to a colt, and I named him Samson.
Mm.
He tried so hard to get up, and we went down and we called the vet in, and he tubed him, and he said he's not going to make it, and I said yes he will, you know. And I came home and I prayed and I said, Lord, give him the strength of Samson, and that was his name. And he got up the next morning, and because the vet said, oh, he won't make it through the night, and he did. I went down there and his little head over the railing, and when he was looking at me, and but that's her story. And I figured out that she had CPL. I joined the Facebook group, and God led me to Teresa, and I called her, and she answered the phone, and I said, please help me, and she did. She taught me the grooming technique and had the compression wrapping, and she did good there for a little while, but she was in the very last stages of lymphedema. She was so bad that her leg was, I mean, just pouring all the time. And that kind of happened after birth. It was swollen, but she was also dehydrated, you know, that she didn't have any fluid leaking anywhere. But that was my grace.
We had some adventure with Grace, and we're going to talk more about all the good things, Carrie. So, what we're going to do now, I'm going to start. Did I miss anybody? Yes, okay, good. All right, so Tia said she's going to be late, and Tia has her horse named Stetson. And she went through 19 professionals in 4 years. And I don't know how this horse survived. It was through the grace of God. I think he was going to explode. And she'll tell you her story. So if she doesn't, I'll I'll fill you in. But I want her to really share her journey because this is hers. All right. So we got a couple of people here on the phone. So we're going to ask the first question. So the first question is your journey, where you started, what brought you here today, and the moments that have shaped your experience as a horse owner. Who wants to start? Anybody?
I guess I'll start.
Good. I was going to just call on you anyway, Vicky.
Well, where I
Mhm.
started was back in 2021, where my horse wound up April 2021, wound up with his first case of cellulitis. The vet did not tell me that this was going to happen again. Well, we moved on with life, and then in October 2021, we had a serious impaction colic where he wound up at our local ruffian horse hospital for 5 days. Thank God we did not need any surgery. And then he proceeded to colic all winter long after that, which brought me to Chris Hoppy, backseat to boss, and she helped me detox him. And through her, I learned better nutrition, use of essential oils, look at your supplements, see what's in them. And that did a world of good. And also learned how to do research, more research on the internet, which brought me to Teresa. And where Teresa taught me the grooming technique and how to do the manual lymphatic drainage, which I have to say now for the last almost 2 years, we have been cellulitis free, and my horse is doing a lot better. We were able to do our first show because it was literally a good 4-year journey to get him out of the crisis. And I love my vets for the crisis, but they were no good when it came to the chronic issues. I had to learn all that by myself.
Okay. Well,
But it was a good journey. I have to say we're We're coming out on the right side of things.
Well, this is a very happy one because I well, in this business, I see a lot of heartbreak. And, so especially when you work on somebody like Grace, I worked on
Yes.
Manny,
I
I
remember
worked
Grace.
on Mayu, and so when you lose one, it's
Yes,
takes a hit on you because
it
you give
does.
everything you have. I give
Right.
everything I have into this.
I
So,
remember, and I remember seeing Grace when we went to Kentucky, and she was a beautiful girl.
Yes,
yes,
she was.
yes.
Personality too.
Oh my gosh, she was a piece of work. I loved her. She was really very, very unique. All right. So, Jeannie, what would you like to share on that comment? Or what shaped your experience as a horse owner and what would you like, what would you like to say? I want to turn that
Uh,
over to you.
well, my when Skibo had his swollen, what do I call it? Swollen
Parotid, yeah, the parotid
parotid,
was up,
the
yeah.
parotid gland was swollen. Um, I just didn't want it to get worse. I really didn't understand what it was, but and I felt like I could do something, you know, to help it. I just wanted to prevent it from spreading. And um, yeah, it was just really, simple. And then at that point, I thought it would just help his whole body since he's a Welsh cob, so he's, a draft pony type and pretty heavy boned. So um, yeah, it's kind of fun to do. He likes it.
Well, let me ask you this. This is really interesting because you mentioned you had breast cancer and you were
Uh-huh.
very aware of the lymphatic system as being a breast cancer patient, as such as myself. So do
Mhm.
you think that influenced your concern or heightened your awareness when you realized that maybe that the infection and might have impacted the lymph nodes?
Uh, I think if I didn't have, lymphatic therapy myself, I wouldn't have known that there was such a thing. I know that there's lymph glands in the lymphatic system, but I didn't know people, you know, use massage. Because for me, I didn't have lymphadenopathy, but since they took out, lymph nodes, I'm susceptible to it. So, the nurses recommended it if I wanted to do it. So, I knew it was out there. So I just wanted to know if you could do it on horses or other
Well,
animals.
see, in a way that did influence you because of your
Yeah,
own
it did.
experience.
Yeah,
You
because
know,
otherwise I wouldn't know about
Otherwise,
it.
how would you even know? Why would
Hmm.
you even know to even to look there?
Right.
Like in the ear and where the infection was. So, okay, anything else you want to add to that, Jeannie?
No.
Okay, Tracy.
I was trying to think of positive things because I think I can spiral into the how bad it was and how hard it was. So I think what was positive for me with Mayu, besides her becoming a teacher and getting Teresa to come to Colorado to help us and teach other people how to work with these conditions, is that I did see significant changes with the MLD work. And first I was learning the grooming technique, and that helped a lot. But the MLD really, for her, reduced the circumference of the leg, restored her mobility. I think gave her quality of life for that time period that I don't, there were no answers. I love my veterinarians because I couldn't do this without them. I have 9 horses and I just rely on them very heavily for diagnosis. But what they would say to me often was, well, this is how she's going to die. And that's hard to hear when you're trying to
Mhm.
do your best to help them. I'm a very solution oriented person. So I wanted to just know, what can I do? How can I help her? And really the only answers came from MLD, nutrition, and herbs. And I'm just really grateful for that. But I think the biggest challenge is keeping a leg like that clean during fly season, and it can challenge you at your core, I think, dealing with this, but to have something to do is also like helpful for our emotional state, being able to support them and do that. So um, I think I learned so much and I know I have a lot more to learn. There's so much about the lymphatic system that I want to learn more and more and more. So thank you.
Okay, who did I miss? We did Carrie, we did Tracy, Vicky, and Jeannie. So Nancy's not here, and then T is probably going to be late. All right. So what I wanted to, does anybody out there have any questions or comments for these ladies? The people on the phone who joined the webinar? Jillian?
Hey, no
Hello?
questions at this time. Thanks, though.
Okay. All right. Anybody else?
It is a roller coaster, Rod.
Oh God, is it ever?
Oh, yeah.
You don't know it until you go through it. That's for sure.
True.
So one of the things that I wanted to go the lessons learned. What would you want to share with another horse owner who may be walking this path? Carrie, what do you want somebody to know?
Well, you got your ups and downs. You got to be devoted. Uh, you've got to be hands-on. I mean, one day you're walking and it's great, and the next morning you walk out and it's like, what?
It's very demanding, wouldn't you say? She's cutting out. I know Carrie lives in Kentucky and
And
they're
you
having, yeah, so
and you've got to have Teresa.
Go
You've
ahead.
got to have Teresa on speed dial. Oh no.
I wish I could have
Did
gotten
you hear the
out.
last part? You got to have Teresa on speed dial.
I get it a lot. That's okay. I love it, and it is what I do, is what I do. What can I tell you? But what would you say was one of the most important things that you experienced that would help somebody else? Because there's so many people, and Carrie and I had talked about this before. Maybe you'd like to join it also, Tracy, because you had a horse with CPL, and that we get a lot of them from the kill pen, and that's very heartbreaking. And the ones that come for actually, Grace did exceptionally well, because a lot of the ones that come from the kill pen, I'm going to give you an estimate, 18 months. That's the average, and we lose them. We lose them either from CPL, we lose them from colic, we lose them from laminitis, we lose them from many things. And I had been talking to a vet a couple of years ago, and she goes, Teresa, this is what is not understood. When a horse has been starved for so long and you bring them back and they're healthy, she says, we don't generally see them past 5 years.
Mm.
There's something happens in the cell and they don't understand it, that those cells turn and all of a sudden they tank. She said, she said, we don't see them past 5 years, especially the ones that have been emaciated, where you're, you're just trying to save them, put weight on them, and you think once we get the weight on, everything's going to be good. That's not the case. They are very problematic to other things. It comes out of the wall. It just comes. Tracy, would you agree with that?
Yes, what's really sad is I have a love of the draft horse, which is, it's, as we know, typical for drafts to get CPL, other breeds too, but I've almost every horse that I have taken off the kill pen, which is, I'm now on my fifth draft. They all have some debilitating disease that is, I think, lymphatic related at its core. So, and they've all the longest, Mayu lived the longest at 2 years. after she left the kill pen. Some lasted 6 months, and they were the ones who, like Teresa said, were significantly starved. And I did a necropsy on one of them because two of them died very close together. And they said this is from chronic neglect for like dietary, just everything. These poor horses are not cared for. So it's a long-term thing. It's a chronic lack of care, and not, they can get the best of care in the last few months, but it doesn't make up for all the bad things that didn't get in what they didn't get what they needed.
Yeah. She said you don't see them more past than 5 years. And I get that. But though I will say this about Grace, she had good weight on her. And what did Grace in was really the CPL. It was it was fly season in April. It was massive and they kept laying eggs. It just got progressively worse. And you got to be on it. This is not something you say, well, you know, I don't want to do it today. You got to do it every day. And that can
I
drain
watched
somebody
that
who's
horse's
working
leg
alone
every day.
every day.
Every day
Yep.
I was out there washing her leg with Head and Shoulders. I tried everything. I threw the kitchen sink at her,
Yeah, she
oils,
did.
and her leg would just inflame. The only thing that worked with her is I gave her Hilton herbs and with clovers and marigolds and clovers. And I gave her remission that was for her hoof. And then I don't know if anybody's heard of it, but she had a solar abscess.
Hmm.
And oh God, I fought that and fought that. And it blew out both back her bad leg, it blew it out the back of her coronary band. And her coronary band was separating from her hoof. And a combination of that, I was told to put her down, and I couldn't do it. So I surrendered her to a rescue, and they put her down. I couldn't do it, and I miss
Yeah.
her every day.
But she gave you a lot of joy. I remember Carrie one time said she
Yes,
came
she
up
did.
walking to the kitchen, the door, your front of your trailer. She was waiting at the gate for
A
you to come
front
and get
door,
her.
yeah,
Here comes Grace. Where's
yeah.
Joe? Oh God.
And
She
I
gave us a
went up
lot of
there. I had a
joy.
bad day. I had a bad day one day, and I was sitting out on the steps, and I started crying. And she came up, and she put her forehead on my forehead.
Mm.
Oh,
So she knew. She
Oh, I
knew.
miss her so bad.
Yeah, well, it's
And she
hard.
went right in that trailer, and she shook the whole trailer. And I said, Grace, it's okay. It's okay. We'll be together one day, and everything will be good. And
Yeah.
that was the last time that I seen her.
Mm. So this is a very powerful journey as
Yeah.
Tracy, and I remember the day that Mayu passed too. So, and the call, and it's heartbreaking. It's
it
heartbreaking.
is heartbreaking. And you just have to
There's no thing.
remember that now that they are out of pain, that's the most important thing.
Yeah.
It is. And it is. And I think also is that we have to keep their legacy alive. We got to keep Mayo alive. We got to keep Grace alive. And the fact that look at what Vicky did, look at what Jeannie did. They made it through. This is a good news story. And even though we lost them to this, there's so many good lessons to learn that there's hope. And the prevailing thing out there is that there's nothing can be done, and that's not true because I've done it for the last since 2008. I have gotten success with 100% of the horses that I manage with CPL, and you get it in 24 hours. You saw the difference, Tracy, did you not? You
Yeah.
see that. You see the mobility in the leg. Vicky was out with me when we were in Kentucky doing a class, and we went over to Carrie's, and she saw the difference. And you're
Yeah.
like, it's just an amazing thing how fast the body is going to really recuperate. I really want to just share, I don't know where Tia is. Tia lives in Washington State, and she contacted me back in February, and she saw I've got a quarter horse, so that was a red flag for me right there because we have a problem with quarter horses and people don't know it. The industry doesn't know that quarter horses have a lymphatic issue. I know this only because what came in through the research. I would have never, ever isolated them as, you get an Arab here, you get this over here, but the quarter horses that consistently come in all the time.
Oh.
So he's a quarter horse, and she was at a barn. He was at a barn, and it flooded, and there were dead rats.
Mm.
Sorry, Tracy. There were dead
Oh.
rats, and everything was floating in the stalls. And it was like,
Ooh.
I don't know, there were several inches of water these animals were standing in, and it had runoff from the road, gasoline, fertilizer.
Oh.
And finally, when the flood receded, they had turned the horses out into the area where all this got absorbed. And in a short period of time, three horses were impacted. Our mare that was 24 died. We suspect it was sepsis. And then there was a pony that had the reaction that Stetson had, and he blew up. And she went through 19 professionals. Nobody could nail it down. And she finally went to an animal communicator, and she said, I'm telling you, it's the lymphatic system. He tells me it's in his chest. He can't move. He can't. And then when she Googled lymphatic, I came up, and she spent 4 years and anywhere between ten to $15,000, and it cost her under $300 to fix this horse. In a matter of days, he was up and working. What we believe now, do we know what happened to Stetson? I'm suspecting there was some sort of pathogen that came on, that he got contaminated, and because he was only 8, he was relatively young and he had a good immune system at that point, is why he survived it. I don't know what happened to the pony, but they found the 24-year-old mare dead in the field shortly after this. So I suspect that when he kept putting on weight, and they kept, oh, you need him on a diet, you need to do this. And it wasn't, he was lymphatically congested, this horse. And when she started doing the grooming technique on him, all of a sudden he could move. The poor horse couldn't move his legs. He was so swollen. It's like, remember when you were a kid and when your mom put you in a snowsuit, you're like the abominable snow. You couldn't move,
Christmas
and
story.
you couldn't move at all. And that's what he was like. And his legs were wobbling, and it just wasn't right. And she did the grooming technique every day. He was getting better and better every day. And it just went on and on and on. So I really wanted her to tell you the story because he's doing phenomenal now. He's back to normal. But I did put a caveat to her and tell her, look, sometimes diseases like asbestos doesn't show up for 30 years. All right, because my husband was in the military. He was exposed to a lot of environmental toxins, and recently he had trouble with his lungs. So they said, look, it can take up to 30 years before asbestos really manifests in the lungs. So what I'm saying to Tia was, I said, you got to watch him because we really don't know what took place. We don't really know what pathogen. It could have his by doing the grooming technique and getting him detox and removing all that lymphatic fluid, he got his weight down and all that. But do we really know the damage that was done over 4 years? No, we don't. So I would tell her, and I said, you really got to watch him closely because I'm thinking long term. you were sitting there not for 4 hours. You're talking 4 years.
4 years. That's a
Where
long
all
time.
that's a long time to be that congested. And when you're that congested, there's infection. It starts to break the lymph fluid is toxic and it destroys the tissues. So in 4 years, don't tell me something wasn't damaged. I don't buy it. But he's doing good now, which is great. This is all wonderful, and we're really excited about it. But you got to be on your guard. Just like what asbestos can take 30 years to manifest, or whatever he has, it could manifest in the next couple of years. You know, you don't know. So the only thing is stand by, enjoy him, do what we have to do today, and enjoy the day and move forward. That's the best thing that we could really tell somebody to do that. So that's Tia's story. And so thank God for the animal communicator. She's a really lovely lady. I spoke to her and she was right on the money. Right on the money. So it was a good call for her. And he's been doing great ever since. So that's and this is what all shows she was telling me. This is very, very interesting and Tracy, you'll appreciate this. The color of his hide started to change. And what we noticed was wherever this infection was, I think because he had his nose to the ground, who knows if he and what kind of fumes he inhaled standing in the barn with all this runoff with dead rats and
Well, whatever
all
toxins. He
this
probably
other
absorbed a
oh
lot of toxins.
yep, yep. I don't know because he was very heavy in the chest. And when she started doing the grooming tech, it was interesting because his color changed on his coat. And that really comes in from the loose connective tissue, the melanocytes. The melanocytes are gives you the tone of our skin, the color. And she said what was interesting is he started clearing up from the rear going to the front. So it sounded like to me that the congestion was really right in his lungs area, in the chest area, and then eventually got swollen in the rear. But when she started doing the grooming technique, that was the last place where he got congested. So it was the first place to get cleaned. And she said his coat's changing. The color is actually he ended up with a darker when he got infected the whole his coat changed to this dark red, whatever he was, and now it's back to normal. So these are the little things here that we really don't know about when we're and this is why I think I like to call it a journey of possibilities because when we start out with these cases, we really don't know what to expect. We don't know until it happens and then we can figure it out. Same thing with Mayu and the lines. I got to tell this funny story. So I go out there and I'm looking at mine and I said, gee, thank God I said it to myself first. She's got all these lines. I said, I wonder what kind of grooming brush Tracy has. That everything is so perfect. And I'm thinking about it and I didn't say anything that night. And then next morning I get up, I go, Teresa, where are you? That's lymphatic. And sure enough, that's what it was. And I was like, hey, Tracy, you want to hear something crazy? I thought you had a special brush. And it wasn't because it was the first time that we saw something like this. We saw patches. Do you want to tell her what we saw? The discoloration?
Yeah, it's a very strange thing, and I see it on a ton of horses in my practice now. And it basically looks like if you picture the chart that they make of the lymphatic vessels, it looks like you're seeing those in the hair coat on the barrel, and it looks a little bit like waves if you haven't seen it in a picture. But we started seeing that, and when she would have these episodes of the leg swelling, that those lines would become much more pronounced and even like dark, like the more contrast between them.
Yep.
And you can't groom them out, you can't massage them out, they're part of the lymphatic system. I think being stagnant is my take on it, like talking with Teresa about it. But what I've seen doing the any kind of MLD work, as well as changing to herbs that help detox the body. Even if my clients will only do milk thistle to support the liver and get like some tonic support there with with the milk thistle, we're seeing those lines just disappear. So then it feels to me like the lymph is healthier. So, but it's not something anybody's really looking at, and people will say they see it all the time, but didn't know what it was. And it happens seasonally as well. It's very interesting.
It's very fascinating because I'll be very frank with you. When I was in Germany, the course that I took was strictly CPL, 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 and cellulitis. That's it. They never talked about the other implications that MLD would have in common equine disorders. It was never mentioned, ever. I don't even think they knew it, to be honest with you, Tracy.
Mm.
Because the whole course was totally on let's wrap, get the grooming, get the massage, and that was the bulk of the training that was there. I just don't think they really comprehended what they really turned on to. I think in America with Heal, we're seeing it for the first time, all the manifestations. And that's why the people that are on this call, the owners, the people who are listening, it is so important that we work as a community to start bringing that awareness because it's never been done before. And I cannot tell you what to expect. I only can tell you what I learned as I go down the road. And I'll tell you this, every single horse that I work on, you're going to learn something. So, am I right, Tracy?
Yeah, for sure.
For sure. And you never see it, it's wild stuff. So I think this is really very, very exciting here. So we have also one thing. Did I miss anybody else? Jeannie, you want any comments?
Uh, no, well, I do now that I've had the grooming technique and all the literature that you have, I do notice like not issues, but whenever I see a lot of flies around horses, I think about
That's
the
right.
that it's oozing out or the smell or the protein is coming out of their skin. And so yeah, so I just see notice more things, just subtle things that everyone just says, "Oh, it's just a lot of flies." But then I do notice some horses have a lot of flies on them and
Mm.
some not as many, you know. So, you know, one a friend of mine's, well, she helps me with my horse when I'm out of town. So, I asked her if I could do grooming technique on her horse since she always seems to have a lot of flies on her. And then I mean, she'll say, "Oh, it seems better now," or "Oh, they're back." But I think it's something you have to continuously do, or else do something that will, um, like not cure it, but stop it from happening. I feel like the grooming technique temporarily heals things, depending on um, uh, how extensive it is, and that part I don't know.
So listen, there's a lot of things we don't know, and we're going to figure it
Yeah.
out as we do. And this is why, like you and so many other people, who come here, it's the joy that I get because I learn so much all the time. And that's what we really need to spread. Vicky, you have anything else? And we're going to end up with the last question. You want to say anything before we go to the last question?
Oh, flies. I've noticed the same thing with the flies. I make my own fly spray, which tends to help because I make it with essential oils. Because I just find wasting your money on Ultra Shield is just that works for 5 seconds is just pointless.
Well, to really help your horse really combat the flies, make sure that the lymphatic system is
It is
intact,
working. Yes.
is racking because
And
that's what they're attracted to.
the two. Yes.
Right. All right. So
Um,
yeah. All right. I have one last sentence. In one sentence, what would you want another horse owner beginning a similar journey to remember? Vicky, what would you want them to remember?
Perseverance, and just remember your vet is not going to have all the answers. Do your research online and find people like you when it comes to these things, because I think vets in a lot of ways, as great as they do, some of them are great diagnosticians and everything, but I just feel in a lot of areas, in especially like the lymphatic system, the feet, they're undereducated.
Mhm. Good. Right. And that's where we come in as professional therapists. I think that we can really add such great value to that. Um, Jeannie, would you like to answer that question? What would you
Yeah.
tell somebody who's beginning on this journey?
If you really want to help, just keep asking, asking questions. I do use a holistic vet, and so she, prescribes remedies and herbs to detox. And, I feel that helps also. But, and my vet is really, she's pretty open because pretty much it's good to have them diagnose what they think, but then there's only so much they know what to do. And I feel like they appreciate any help.
Yeah, I've
Okay.
had the opposite story there.
Oh, I always
Yeah, unfortunately,
appreciate.
well, it's like, oh yeah, your horse hasn't had, cellulitis in 2.5 years, but there's no question of, they're just, well, there's no, how did you do that?
Oh,
They don't, it's just this.
mm. Well, they're
So
around.
they're around. I know some of them are out there, but
Okay, Tracy.
Oh, you're on mute.
Unmute, thanks.
Mhm.
Um, it's a big question. I think having a village of people or forum that you can and go to and talk about, like, what has everybody tried, because every horse is so unique in their response to what we're all doing. And sometimes you feel really alone in the process, even though, like, my vet, I have a holistic vet and I have regular vets that I work with, and they're all pretty receptive to it, me, what I am saying, but they don't really know how to help. But a village of people who are in the trenches, I think that, I know it's more than a sentence, but sorry, but I think having a
You're right.
village of people to support us, and that we're not crazy,
Yeah.
and it doesn't have to be that they don't get better. They can get better, even if in the end they succumb to the disease. At least they had a quality of life during that time.
Absolutely. Carrie,
Call Teresa.
yes.
I will
Cultures.
shout your name from
One
the rooftop.
sentence.
Yes, yes. Call Teresa. She is the best. I put her in all the groups that I'm in,
No,
all
thank you.
the, the, the everything that she puts out. I put them right in there. Some of them's denied, some of them is taken. I put them in every group, and I know deep down in my heart that if I had first met her, Grace would still be here.
Probably so.
If I could have learned the technique and everything that she taught me, she would still be here with me.
That's a tough one, Carrie. That's
Yeah.
a tough one. God has his plans, and you know what we want, what he wants are two different things. So, but I agree with you. But I think the biggest value that you have is your experience and the support, and to keep Grace's legacy alive. Same thing with Mayu. Same thing, with Stetson and Skibo. He had an unusual thing. They thought what was an ear infection that started it, and
No, they
possibly
don't know what happened. It was just showed up. But since I am in a boarding barn, that when I'm doing the grooming technique, they're like, "What are you doing?" I'm like, "I'm doing grooming, helping the lymphatic system on Skibo. And then, they said, where did you learn that? And then I tell them about you. So I feel like when I do that, if something happens with their horse, they know who to go to.
Right. Thank you. Thank you.
Yeah.
So I think we're at the top of the hour. I'm going to turn it over. I see, was it Deandra? I'm going to ask, she's got a question here. She goes, Teresa, how do I find and watch the sessions I missed? Please. I will send out um, the, I'll send it to you tonight. But this recording won't be done until tomorrow morning. And but I'll send you all the ones from the last five, okay? And so everybody will get them, and you can go on. They're all on YouTube. All you have to go to the heel, and you'll see it there. But I'll send you the list itself, all right? So don't worry. I take care of everybody. All right. Does anybody
Yes,
have
you
anything else that
do.
they would like to say? Jillian,
You
I
should
have a
say,
question when you're ready.
ask.
So it's a two-part question. One for maybe mostly from what I've heard of the stories, maybe mostly Tracy and Carrie and Jeannie. Have you seen it? So here's part one, and then I have part two. Have you seen a change in your vets or your groomers or your, the farriers, any other professionals that you interact with, as a result of like how you cared for Maya and what they would see between visits? And then the second part of the question. So the first one is, have you seen a change in, the other pros that are working with the horses? And then the second one is, I heard Cleavers mentioned marigold, milk thistle. Um, but are any of you keeping horses um, on herbs or essential oils, kind of, as a maintenance thing? And if so, which ones are you using for this?
Yeah.
And which other herbs are you using that were not mentioned? And those are my questions.
Who wants to answer that one?
Yes, I am using both essential oils and herbs. I'm using I use oregano and thyme as natural antibiotics. 3 to 4 drops in his food once a day. And I've been doing that for almost 2 years, almost 2 years now, I think. And then as far as the herbs go, I use Herbs of the World, and they have a yucca anti-inflammatory with milk thistle and mixture that I've been using. And I use also their cellular detox and liver up, which I will do that like every 6 months because of the expense. Because it's like, I think for the whole month it's like $400 to do that detox. Because it's kind of expensive, so I only do that like every 6 months. But yeah, but the essential oil is every day.
Okay, and are you growing herb in your pasture? Like, do
I don't.
they have access to, say, plantain, marshmallow, willow?
No, not my
No.
horse. My horse is, I'm from Long Island, so therefore he is on small pen dry lot, where he gets hay in front of him 24/7. And everything else has to be supplemented.
yeah,
Okay,
I'm the
thank
same.
you.
He's in a stall in paddock. I live in California, so.
You're
But
kind of in the same situation as
Wow.
yeah,
Nikki is. You got
yeah,
limited space and no
yeah.
grazing area.
Yeah, and I do since my holistic vet, her concern is the endocrine disruptors because
Mhm.
Skibo's EMS horse, and she just feels that also, and then the gut health, and that also affects you know, uh the immune system. which is also part of the lymphatic, it's all connected. So
Mm-hmm.
yeah, I don't really understand, what it is that she makes up little formulas that she tells me to put in this water. I don't really understand what it is. I guess I could ask her, but I just kind of distrust
Mm-hmm.
because so far so good.
Tracy.
Um, to answer your first question, I started with a couple different vets, and my dog is barking in the background, so I keep muting. I'm very sorry. Um, they have become more receptive. It first started as joking, like saying, "Are you going to be the mad scientist in your laboratory? What concoctions or uh, like potions are you pulling out?" But then they would see changes and say, "Oh wow, that tell me more about it." So I actually am seeing some pretty conservative veterinarians coming around to my
Mm-hmm.
not, and I want their opinion. I won't go against what they're saying, but I'm still going to use my own mind and my own horses, how they're responding to what I'm doing.
Mm-hmm.
So I have seen a huge change in that. And my holistic vet always is right on board with me, and we work side by side with it. Mayu responded very well to an herb called red root, and I
Mm-hmm.
did tea from that. Calendula too, and some rose hip seeds, which are like really high in vitamin C. She really liked
Mm-hmm.
that. But I'm with Vicky. I love Laurel Davis at Herbs of the World. And if you're a practitioner or like you're advising people, you can get a wholesale rate, by the way. You just have to talk to her about it, and it makes it more affordable. But liver,
I missed Tracy. I'm trying to take notes while you're talking. I'm sorry. Red root, calendula, and what was the third one that you mentioned?
um, what did I say? Red root, calendula. I think I just said herbs of the world as rose hip seeds. Rose hip
Rose
seeds.
hip. That's what it was. Okay. Thank you.
It's super packed with vitamin C, which is, as we know, great for the immune system, and it's a bioavailable form of that. You can get the powder, and if it's easier to put it in, um,
We just
herbs
feed the roses.
or feed the roses or rose hip seeds,
Yeah, we do.
whatever.
We do. We give them the
Yeah,
leaves and the flowers and the hips and everything. Yeah.
yeah, I can't.
It's ours is all organic.
That's
And
great.
the reason that I asked about and the reason that I asked about the vets, we're not dealing with farriers or trainers or or groomers like all of you equine people are. I'm a dairy goat person. Nobody's doing this for dairy goats. So I'm here because they matter that much. Um, and and so we are using that stuff. I asked about the vets because our extremely conventional agribusiness vet, who's used to dealing with all confinement type factory farm animals, and there's not another anywhere closer that that could possibly be any better. Um, we've gotten to the point now where I'll say, okay, so what would you normally prescribe for this? And he'll say, as an example, dexamethasone. And I'd say, okay, so you want an anti-inflammatory? And he say, yeah, you got an herb for that? And I'm like, oh yeah. So I'll ask him about what other actions, what mechanism of action, what, that kind of thing. And we'll work through things that way. Um, and I've seen an amazing, to me, in 7 years, an amazing turnaround from, oh, this is going to be a pain. She's not going to cooperate with, my advice. And she's going to use potions and the animal's going to be worse and whatever, to looking at it scientifically, and looking at what qualities those herbs actually have and what actions they have, what they can do. And so we've seen a lot of traction there. But I'm just kind of wondering because obviously there's a lot more money in the horse industry in general, right? There's, entirely outside of the racing and that part of the industry, there's just more overall. There's so much more money involved, and so there's more research involved, and there's more product that's made for people like you, like Bioorma, as a nematophagic anthelmintic that goats kind of got the leftovers on that, but it was developed because of horses and then because of camelids. So because that's where the money is, and where the money is where the research goes. But I'm looking at when Jeannie mentioned about the flies and how some certain ones seem to have more than others. I've noticed that there's an 11-year-old herd queen who kidded 3 months ago, who she will have more flies on her than the younger goats, and it's not because they're moving more. There's something different. There's something.
She's lymphatically congested.
Yeah, and I look at her legs, Teresa, and it doesn't seem to me like the legs are showing that. But it's somewhere. It's
But
somewhere.
I tell you, you need to learn. You know what? We'll take this offline to you because I want to make sure you're doing the see, touch, and assess on her.
Yes.
So we need to find out where she's lymphatically congested. And
Okay.
don't ask me why, but the first thing that came to in my head was the gut. I don't know why. You got to know where the flies are. They're around her belly, around the side. Where are they? Because that's going to tell you where the lymphatic congestion is. So that's good.
Okay. So
All right.
you're correct. Thank you so very much.
All right, we'll take that offline because I really want to. We'll set up a call so we can see if we can get you straightened out with her because wherever the flies are that land on her, and I'm not talking one fly, I'm talking clusters of flies. And then when you see the cluster of flies, that's exactly where the lymphatic system is congested. It's that simple. So I'll take this offline with you. So
Thank you.
anyone who's listening on the phone, you can go to our website at healequine.com and go under resources and then tab down to the lymphatic library and go all the way down where it says identify lymphatic congestion. There's a 13-minute PowerPoint presentation I did a couple of years ago on flies and what their role is and why they're attracted to your horse. And I gave you examples where the clusters, well, I'm not talking one or two. There's always going to be one or two flies. It's not a big deal. But when you've got masses of flies in one piece, in one section where they're clumped together, yeah, that's telling you there's some lymphatic congestion going on in there. And that 13-minute presentation is going to be an eye because it takes you a split second to see where the eyes are. It doesn't take long. All right, okay, Carrie, you want to add anything else? I'm going
As
to end the
far as
call
the
right
herbs, I
now.
do believe in them.
You want to tell them what you used on
Um,
Grace?
it was a combination of the Hilton herbs, is what I found, with clever marigolds and clevers, and that helped to reduce the inflammation in her leg. The remission was for her hoofs, and I believe in the holistic things, but my vets here, I mean, you know, well, that's why she was put in the kill pen. There's nothing you can do for her. And that's their thinking here in Somerset.
Well, it's almost just about everywhere, Carrie, so it's not there because they just don't know there is options. And there are because we've proven
Well,
it.
I mean, I
So
would try to tell them.
Oops.
it is what it is, right? Okay, does anyone out there, Jillian or anyone else out there, Deandra, have any questions that you want to ask?
So I got really no backup, no help, you know, It was nothing
Well,
until
that's,
I met Teresa.
yeah, well, the problem is they're not taught it. If it's not taught, they don't know.
Mhm.
So I'm going to close this evening
Yeah,
because we've already over
I
15 minutes
agree.
or 12, 13. It's getting late here. So I want to thank
Mm.
every, Tracy, finish, please. Can Tracy finish, please? Which Tracy? I don't know. I think is she gone? Because she's on
I think
mute.
she did.
Yeah, she may have. All right. So, what I'll do is I will send you the if you want to talk to any of these ladies, I'm going to send out there. Is that okay to send your email at message out to to the
Yes,
group here?
Mhm.
And if
yes.
somebody wants to ask you about your essential oils or what you're doing or what herbs you're using, you can have access to it. How's that sound for you, Deandra? Is that okay? I
Hmm.
got a question here. All right, so I'm going to end the call. I want to thank everyone. Come next week, same time, same bat channel. Next week is the seventh webinar series. This is the first time that we've done them. And we're going to be talking what is the program about. And it's not just about how to do the massages. That's the simple stuff. The stuff that we're going to talk about is changing the industry and what we really need to do. And most of all is the insight that you're going to need to get to do this. So it'll give you a little bit different perspective. So I want to thank everybody for coming. I want to thank for all the horse owners here. This will be downloaded and we'll upload it to YouTube, and I will be sending out to everybody the chart. And that shows you all the YouTube channels that we have. That from day one, we did the market. That is important. You really all should know, what is the equine lymphatic market look like. Two, we did the connective tissue. Why is it so important? Three, we did the grooming technique, and why is it important to understand the direction of the hair and where is it going. And then we did a section on MLD, and we discussed the various uses of manual lymph drainage, just not for cellulitis and CPL, as we're all finding that out. And that has been one of the greatest gifts of all. And then last week we had therapists on there telling you, sharing what their experience has in doing this and all the things that they found, whether it's working with a horse that has sweating issues, metabolic, so on and so forth. And that's where we're really starting to blossom. So I'm going to end it tonight. And remember the Chinese proverb that says, okay, when someone shares something of value to you and you benefit, you have a moral and ethical obligation to share with others. So please share it, and thank you everyone for participating for this evening. And I'm going to close it down. And if you have any
Thank you,
questions,
Teresa.
you're welcome. You can know where to find me. Have a good evening.
Thank you.
Mhm.
Have a good
Thank
night.
you
Bye.
so much.
Bye.
Bye bye.